Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to felony charges. We have the latest.
Nashville governor introduces a new bill after devastating school shooting.
What you should know about Finland joining the NATO alliance.
Sports fans, a new national champion has been crowned.
And we introduce a new segment. Stay tuned for that.
All this and more on Uindy TV.
From the campus of the University of Indianapolis, this is Uindy TV News.
Welcome, my name is Andila Becker.
And I'm Luke Cooper. Not even a mugshot. 5 still photographers will be the only people allowed to take images of the former president, Donald Trump, in a Manhattan courtroom today, where he will be arraigned on more than 30 business fraud related charges. No broadcast cameras in the courtroom. That's according to the judge presiding over the arraignment of former President Donald Trump in Manhattan today, rejecting the request made by several media outlets to broadcast the historic proceedings. Meanwhile, New York City is preparing for a moment never seen before in the United States as former President Trump becomes the first former or sitting president to be criminally charged. Security will be tight with street closures until after the arraignment. The city says they are actively monitoring any threats of violence or mass demonstrations. Trump is expected to enter a plea of not guilty to the dozen charges he's said to face.
Yesterday in Nashville, just 1 week after the deadly Covenant school shooting that left 6 people dead, protesters marched to the Capitol to take a stand against gun violence and advocate for stricter gun laws. Tennessee is known for having relaxed gun laws. In fact, in recent years, they have decided to relax these gun laws even further. Tennessee has been considered a constitutional carry state since 2021, when the state decided permits were no longer a requirement to carry a handgun. Similarly, Indiana has been a constitutional carry state since last July. Since the school shooting last week, many state legislatures across the country began to find ways to make schools safer in America, where school shootings are occurring more and more frequently. According to Gallup, there is still a majority of Americans that want to see stricter gun laws, but that number is diminishing despite the more frequent occurrence of these mass shooting events. It is important to note a mass shooting event is defined as an event where multiple people are injured or killed in a single use of a firearm.
Due to the Nashville shooting, Tennessee has proposed a bill that would create new safety protocols for schools. This plan consists of a $200 million school safety bill that will help reinforce safety measures in all schools across Tennessee. Safety measures such as putting armed security at every public school and boosting school security at public and private schools. This safety bill can also provide schools and students with additional mental health services. If this safety bill is accepted, schools across Tennessee will increase their safety protocols, making schools safer for our youth.
Evansville Central Dispatch confirmed that a man walked into a Walmart with a rifle. Evansville Police Department has said that the man walked into the store with the rifle over his shoulder in a sling. EPD officials say by the time employees had seen the man, police were already on their way. Walmart has a no gun carry policy for inside the store, which is why this was such a big issue at first. However, the man did leave the store without any further issues, and once he left, his firearm was returned to him by police officials. Indiana does have an open carry law, so this man was in fact not breaking any laws according to officials. Coming up, President Biden approves state funding, and Finland becomes the 31st country to join NATO. That and more coming up next.
Most people wouldn't hitch a ride with a stranger. Sometimes convenience comes at a price, but the cost should never be your safety. What do you know about your driver? Do you trust him to get you home safely? Do you trust him with your life? 91% of Americans believe that there should be mandatory rules and regulations for drivers of ride-hailing apps. Know your rights. Make the right call when it comes to your safety. 83% of Americans believe that drivers of ride-hailing apps should undergo criminal background checks and should have to pass regular drug testing. All drivers should be properly screened, licensed, and trained. Don't put your safety, your privacy, or your life at risk. Inform yourself about the hazards of digital hitchhiking. Arm yourself with the necessary tools to ride responsibly. Do your research and think before you act. Visit rideresponsibly.org.
Someone had fun today. Hey, sweetheart, everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. How's our little guy doing?
We had a lot of fun.
Looks like I'm stuck working late tonight.
Oh, that's okay. I've got a laundry list of emails to send out.
Did he finally go down the slide?
He did great.
Hi, I'm Greg Grunberg, and there are a lot of things that we could talk about. But there's only one thing that we need to talk about, and that's epilepsy, which is more common than you think. My son lives with epilepsy, just like nearly 3 million Americans, 1/3 of which have uncontrolled seizures. Epilepsy is very misunderstood. Many people living with epilepsy and seizures, they feel isolated and alone, and this has to change. Let's talk about it together. Please learn more by visiting the Epilepsy Foundation at epilepsy.com.
President Joe Biden has approved federal funding for the state of California. Due to the state of California being affected by severe winter storms, straight-line winds, flooding, landslides, and mudslides since February, President Biden approved the California Disaster Declaration. These tragic natural disasters are still in continuation. This federal funding is available to those affected in the California counties of Kern, Mariposa, Monterey, Santa Benito, Santa Cruz, Tulum, and Tulare. This will include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, loans to cover uninsured property losses, and programs to help individuals and businesses owners recover from effects of the disaster. Damage assessments are continuing in other areas of the state to measure which counties will also be designated for assistance due to these natural disasters. Our hearts are with the state of California at this time, as we had our own natural disasters around Indy.
Finland has become the 31st member of the NATO Security Alliance, and its flag will soon be raised at the alliance's headquarters. The decision was announced by Finnish President Sauli Niinisto during a press conference in Helsinki on Monday. Finland has traditionally pursued a policy of neutrality, but when recent events in the region, such as Russia's annexation of Crimea and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, have prompted many Finnish officials to reconsider the country's position. The decision to join NATO is likely to have broader implications for the region, particularly for neighboring Sweden, which has also been considering NATO membership. It remains to be seen how Russia will react to Finland's decision, but analysts say it could lead to increased tensions between the two countries. Despite these concerns, President Niinisto said, quote, "Our decision is not direct against anyone. It is a decision to strengthen our own security and to contribute to the security of the wider region."
2 weeks ago, Uindy released a big announcement regarding administration changes. Hannah Hurley with the story.
You know that saying, the future is female? Well, that could not be more true, especially today, as the University of Indianapolis has announced its brand new president-elect, Dr. Tanuja Singh.
The Uindy campus has a new buzz following the announcement, and administrators are especially excited to bring on Dr. Singh.
She was the best. Out of all the candidates we interviewed, out of the 4 finalists we had, who were all great, wonderful people who would have done Uindy proud, Dr. Singh was the best.
Dr. Singh is currently serving as Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at Loyola University New Orleans. Uindy Provost Dr. Chris Pluff believes she is more than prepared to step into her role as president.
That when she's out doing the other activities that a president needs to do, out talking with the community, out trying to bring in new people into the campus and connecting them to the campus, fundraising, those sorts of things, you need to really understand what it is you're trying to convince them to connect with us more deeply about. And she'll have that.
Smooth presidential transfers are crucial to a successful new beginning. Interim president of Uindy, Phil Terry, says the pair will continue to work closely during this time of transition.
In fact, we have already a weekly call set up where we've got an hour committed of each of our schedules each week to touch base, for me to let her know what's going on, to get her counsel on what she would like to see happen as we deal with issues.
Dr. Singh has an extensive history in administration and has very high hopes and aspirations for her time serving here at UIndy. From Indianapolis for Uindy TV, I'm Hannah Hurley.
We look forward to having Dr. Singh on campus beginning this summer.
The Indiana Supreme Court will hold oral arguments at the University of Indianapolis. The Indiana Supreme Court issued a press release earlier in March declaring the University of Indianapolis as a host for an oral argument. The oral argument to be discussed will be the case Keller J. Millowitz versus Ball State University, Board of Trustees of Ball State University, and State of Indiana. The court usually holds oral arguments at the State House in Indianapolis, but this will provide students and the press and the public an opportunity to see the operations conducted in locations more familiar outside of the courtroom. The argument takes place on April 11th at 10 a.m. in the Ruth Lilly Performance Hall in the Crystal DeHaan Fine Arts Center on campus. The arguments will be 40 minutes long and is open to the press and public on first-come, first-served basis. Those attending will need to go through security through the circular drive main entrance. Anyone interested in attending must contact Outreach Coordinator Sarah Kidwell.
Keep watching for the latest in sports coming up next.
Man, we gotta take Bryce Young, right?
What did you say?
No, it's Bryce Young. It's obviously Bryce Young.
C.J. Stroud, the obvious pick for Steichen and the Colts.
Ohio State quarterbacks, we know they don't
I mean,
win.
come on. He's got the whole offense handed to him. Check out Last Call. We've got all the sports info you need from around the nation and right here on campus. Plenty of UIndy sports.
College football and college basketball.
The NFL.
The NBA.
MLB.
Don't forget about motorsports.
And I'll give you all the gambling picks you need to know to make some money right here on Last Call, Mondays at 4 o'clock on YouTube.
Hey, it's Giselle here on 88.7 WICR.
88.7 The Diamond, the only jazz and classical station in Indianapolis, completely led by the students of the University of Indianapolis. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn app, FM radio, HD radios, or even on our website at wicronline.org, a different kind of public radio.
Joining us now is our sports anchor, Nathaniel Finch. Nathaniel, some new champions have been crowned.
Not quite the close game we were hoping for in the national championship, but boy, how about that? The Strive for Five officially been completed for the University of Connecticut. The UConn Huskies crowned national champions. This after defeating San Diego State and enjoying that one shining moment. Let's take a look. The madness concludes in Houston after an insane month of basketball. An early battle has the Aztecs up 2. Here is Adama Sanogo. Spoiler alert, he's the Final Four MVP. Huskies tied up, 5 minutes left in the first. UConn up 13 now. Tristan Newton. Yes, sir. He finishes 19 points, 10 rebounds. Again, it was pretty close early. The Aztecs, though, they won't give up. Down 8 to go. Darian Trammell makes it a 2-bucket game. The fans back at home are loving it. Now, within 5, Jordan Hawkins from downtown opens up a 9-0 run. Oh yeah, he's the cousin of LSU champion Angel Reese. UConn wins it 76-59, is crowned national champions, winning each tournament game by an average margin of 20 points. The MLB season officially underway, but Indiana does not have a Major League Baseball team. We know this. This makes the Cubs and Reds matchups ever so special. A perfect day for baseball in Cincinnati last night at Great American Ballpark. We start in the top of the first. Right here is new Cub Cody Bellinger at the plate, and he crushes this one. A 3-run bomb gives the Cubs an early lead. How about that home half, same inning with the bases loaded. It's Red shortstop Kevin Newman, a rope to the outfield. That will score 2 runs. They'll tie it up at 3 apiece. Here we go, still tied, top of the 5th. Eric Hosmer at the plate with a grounder all the way out to the warning track. 2 runs score, and the Cubs retake the lead. 6-4 was that score. Bottom of the same inning, Reds down 2 with 2 on. Third baseman Jason Vosler goes yard. He crosses the plate as the go-ahead run, and the Reds hang on to defeat the Cubs 7-6. Spring athletics well underway here at Uindy, and per usual, the Greyhounds support some dominant teams. Beginning with softball, they're currently ranked 6th in the nation. They sit at 33-3 on the season. 8-0 in GLBC conference play. Winners of 17 straight. This team stays home this weekend with 2 games on Friday versus McKendree, 2 games on Saturday versus Maryville. Let's move on over to the sport of baseball here at Uindy. After beginning the year 11-0, they currently sit at 14-11. They got their first 2 conference wins over the weekend at Missouri St. Louis, splitting the 4-game series. The team returns home for a 4-game series again this weekend. That starts against Drury on Thursday. As for the women's lacrosse team, they sit at 6th in the national rankings at 10-2. Over the weekend, they took the best team in the nation. It was a close one. Against Westchester, they fell 15-11. The defending national champions, Uindy, starting down a 3-game conference road trip coming up. Now let's switch gears. Let's take a look at the 8-1 men's lacrosse team. They've climbed up to 4th in the nation. Their lone loss to the nation's best team, Lemoyne. They'll now face Maryville this weekend at home, and Uindy TV will have the coverage of that game. That's on YouTube and the GLVC Sports Network this upcoming Saturday. Be sure to tune into that. Finally, the men's tennis team currently ranked 2nd nationally at 13-2, while the women's team 7th in the nation with a record of 10-5. Both teams will travel to Illinois Springfield this upcoming Friday. We wish the Greyhounds all the best of luck in their upcoming events this weekend. Hey, when we come back, well, Maddie Fisher is going to tell us all about the last week's storms and the forecast coming up. That's next.
Are you feeling alone in your faith? Uindy Catholic gives you an opportunity to get involved in a religious community on campus, providing sacramental needs and fellowship for prospective students and giving you a sense of belonging.
We just want you guys to know that God loves you, He delights in you, and He's in awe of you, and we would love to meet you, so you should come on out.
Uindy Catholic, a community for you.
For children who may have high-functioning autism, may have ADHD, processing challenges, working memory issues, sensory integration issues, those types of challenges. It's a place where human beings are valued, children are respected. It's a progressive school that takes a hands-on approach to education.
Man, we gotta take Bryce Young, right?
What did you say?
No, it's Bryce Young. It's obviously Bryce Young.
C.J. Stroud, the obvious pick for Steichen and the Colts.
Ohio State quarterbacks, we know they don't win.
Come on, he's got the whole offense handed to him. Check out Last Call. We've got all the sports info you need from around the nation and right here on campus, plenty of Uindy sports.
College football and college basketball.
The NFL.
The NBA.
MLB.
Don't forget about motorsports.
And I'll give you all the gambling picks you need to know to make some money right here on Last Call, Mondays at 4 o'clock on YouTube.
The weather forecast for the rest of the week coming up shortly. But first, following the deadly storms on Friday evening, our very own Leticia Viselli went to visit some of the cities that were impacted.
As a result of last night's storms, multiple homes and businesses here in Martinsville got damaged, including this First Presbyterian Church on Washington Street. The rubble and bricks lying on the sidewalk in Martinsville are just a small sample of the effects of last Friday's storm.
What the tornado did was actually lift the roof off of its structure and then put it back down and knock over the steeple at the same time.
The rebuilding process has already begun on the church, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
And frankly, I got out of my car and I looked at the damage and I started crying.
Officials say around 100 homes and numerous businesses suffered severe roof damage around the area. In another place, not too far from campus, a tornado reported EF3 by the National Weather Service ripped through Whiteland.
It's still a dangerous area. I mean, there's just so many damaged structures and power lines down, and the roads are still blocked in certain areas.
At least 15 homes have been completely destroyed and nearly 50 power poles were down. After a state of emergency was declared for Johnson County by the governor, Whiteland Fire Chief asked residents to stay home if they can while they cleared the area. The fire station also received many donations and volunteers following the storm to help the community recover.
The community's been amazing. I mean, from the moment this happened, everybody's been reaching out. We've been getting well wishes, people reaching out, wanting to volunteer.
Reporting from Martinsville, I'm Letizia Vaselli, Uindy TV News.
Each county is still accepting help and donations, but they certainly will have a lot of rebuilding to do. And there was certainly a lot of damage in Johnson County, where the tornado made a pretty clear path across Whiteland, which is just 20 minutes away from Uindy. Let's hear from one of the residents what Friday night looked like.
I just screamed. I didn't know. And I stayed there, and then I heard glass shatter a few minutes later, and it was the Greenwood Fire Department to come in to check and see if I was okay. And they come in and got me out. And then my had two grandsons and a nephew that came and took me away. And I went over to my grandson's house and spent the night.
Fortunately, there were no fatalities in Whiteland, but most residents will need several days to clear the rubble and start rebuilding. Another incredibly strong system is headed towards the Midwest, as many communities are still recovering from last Friday's severe weather outbreak. 70 million Americans spanning from northeast Texas to Michigan are bracing for impact as another powerful storm system moves into Tornado Alley. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted large portions of the Midwest as moderate to high risk areas, including portions of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas, and Texas. This system is expected to bring heavy rain and winds, as well as a particularly dangerous tornadoes in parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma and southern Missouri in the overnight hours. With this storm hitting the same areas as last Friday's system, many Americans are feeling panicked as rescue and cleanup efforts are still underway. The storms will begin this evening and roll throughout Indiana overnight into tomorrow. Weather organizations are urging residents to have a safety plan ready should conditions become extremely severe. And we have a wild week of weather on the horizon, but let's take a look why in Uindy TV's first ever weather report. So we're going to start right here. We've got a nice line, blue and red. That's going to be our stationary fronts. Stationary fronts don't move as they are stationary. Right here you can see the severe weather that we just saw in that package. We'll talk about that a little more. Up here we've got freezing rain, freezing temps up to the north, but as you can see here, lots of green all over the Midwest looking to be impacted once again. And with a stationary front, it's not going to be moving very quickly either, so we can expect chances for flash flooding, things like that all throughout the Midwest. Now let's take a look at that severe weather outlook and who should be hyper aware of this specific storm system. Arkansas, Missouri, Northwest Illinois, Eastern Iowa with moderate to high risks. As you can see, those cities that were just struck pretty hard, getting ready to brace for it again, that being Davenport, Iowa, and Little Rock, who is still recovering from one of the most tragic tornadoes that they've had in the state's history from last week. Right now, Indianapolis sitting in the green, but as this system continues to move, we could expect the chance for severe weather to enhance potentially into that moderate level. Lots of the state of Illinois in that risk area, and we'll just have to watch this system as it moves. This system has the potential to mirror what we saw tear through Indianapolis last week. So again, weather companies are urging you, have a plan in case it gets rough out there. But looking ahead to the rest of the week, much warmer here in Indianapolis, but we're going to encounter some severe weather before we can enjoy the spring. Tonight, a 60% chance for storms here in the Circle City, dropping to a low of 67. Tomorrow, grab your umbrella, friends. It's going to be raining Grady's. Tons of storms here in Indianapolis. Make sure you keep that in mind for your morning commute. But if we take a look at the rest of the week, skies continuing to clear as the temperatures go up. 56 is your high on Thursday, 61 on Friday, 65 on Saturday, and I peeked ahead a little bit just for you. It's looking beautiful on Easter. We're talking about Meghan Markle and Grey's Anatomy coming up here on Uindy TV News.
The day that JD was injured, I had woke up to a odd phone call. It was the military calling to tell me that he had stepped on an IED.
The day I got injured, she got wounded as well. And the veterans wouldn't be the men that we are and the women that we are today if it wasn't for our better half helping us every direction we go.
Find the nonprofits that support veterans. Offer your time if you don't have the financial resources to offer. There's always a way to help.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
Making is in essence telling a story. Every time I make something, I'm telling a story. When a kid gets their hands on the world and learns that they can make their fantasy play, that they can make their reality, that's power. As far as I'm concerned, everyone should feel that kind of power. So if there's something that interests you, go figure out how to do it. Go tell your own story. There it is. I want to know why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Twitter CEO Elon Musk poked fun at the New York Times on Sunday, calling the publication unreadable after it has lost its blue checkmark verification badge status on its platform. The blue checkmark removal comes as many Twitter's high-profile users are bracing for the loss of their blue checkmarks that will help verify their identity and distinguish them from imposters. Twitter owner Elon Musk set a deadline on Saturday that verified accounts had to buy a premium Twitter subscription or lose the checks on their profile. The New York Times said on Thursday that they would not pay for Twitter verification of its institutional account. Early Sunday morning, Musk tweeted that the Times checkmark would be removed. Later, he tweeted remarks about the newspaper, which aggressively reported on Twitter and on others of Musk's companies, such as Tesla, with flaws. The relaunch of Twitter costs $8 a month for web users and $11 a month for iPhone and Android users. Subscribers will expect to see less ads, be able to post longer videos, and have their tweets featured more prominently.
The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, is all set to receive the 2023 Women Vision Award from Gloria Steinem. Women of Vision Awards are presented each year by the Arlington County Commission on the Status of Women as part of celebration of the Women's History Month. This year's award holds something a little special, as it's the 50th anniversary celebration, according to the report by The Independent. Miss Foundation, a Brooklyn-based organization, works to bring attention to the real challenges facing women, especially women of color and low income who are living in poverty. The foundation announced that Meghan Markle will be receiving the award for her, quote, global advocacy to empower and advocate on behalf of women and girls. Teresa C. Younger, president and CEO of the Miss Foundation, in a statement said, quote, we are thrilled to announce this year's honorees for the Women's Vision Awards and to celebrate 50 years of progress and power. The award will be handed out on the 16th of May at New York City's Ziegfeld Ballroom. Grey's Anatomy actress
Katrina Scorsone is opening up about the harrowing moments when she saved her 3 children from a house fire. Scorsone posted a photo of the devastation Monday on her Instagram account, writing, a couple of months ago, my house burned down. She said she was getting her children ready for bed when smoke began to seep up through the grout around the tub. As thick black smoke filled the home, Scorsone said she had roughly 2 minutes to get her kids out of the house. She said they escaped with, quote, less than shoes on her feet. Sally Scorsone said their 4 pets were killed in the house fire. She also thanked firefighters, neighbors, friends, and family members for their help and support.
I mean, this has been a great show today. Thanks for joining me, Luke. And make sure, guys, tune in next week, same time, right here on Uindy TV News.